If you want an update on my Pan That palette for the month of March, then stick around. Hi there, it's Hélène with another video, and I am very pleased to bring you another update on this palette, which is my Pan That palette for 2019. And I did start a little early. I did start off with this palette in October of 2018, but this is my first Pan That palette ever, and I guess you could say I was a little nervous. I was, but this is going relatively well, and I have a considerable update for you. And I did mention in the last update that I thought that this one was going to be a big one, and I think it is. I did have a 1 gram difference in palette weight last update, but my scale only goes gram for gram, and in this palette every shadow is about a gram, and so it takes a full shadow of use in order to see the scale change. So unfortunately, I do not have a difference of 1 gram in this particular update, but I have a lot of visual change that I think is really cool. So I updated at the very end of, I believe, February or very, very early March. I'll put the previous video right here. And what happened was that I did have the 1 gram change, but I didn't have any kind of pan showing or anything, nothing like when I finished up Buff to show you. But I said, you know, I'm really close, I'm really close. Well, on March 14th, and I'll put a picture right here of it because I had to take a picture when I saw what just happened. I was using vanilla, and again, I'm not opening up my palette right away because there's some updates in there. Vanilla is the big lightest shade in the palette. It's double size and it's the lightest shade. And I started using it, and all of a sudden I saw pan peeking out, and I went, oh, stop using it there. And in the same look, I started using it's a long shadow. So I used the top, and then I went, oh no, I hit pan. So I went down, and in the same look, I hit pan again. So obviously it was meant to be, I hit pan, and of course the pan has been increasing ever since. Now, I can show you where it's at. Vanilla went from no pan last time to a hell of a lot of pan. I hope you can see it relatively well here, quite a bit. I think that I'll be able to use the vanilla shadow for another month, but at the end of April, I'm pretty, well, if I last that long, certainly by the end of April, I will have to repress it, and I'll try to repress it just into the center so I'm not messing up my makeup brushes. I like to use a fluffy brush with vanilla and wheat is the one right next to it. Technically these two, and then this one, which is Tonal up here. I like to use a fluffy brush because I'm usually setting my eye lid primer, which is the NYX eyeshadow base, and I use it in 03. You can't see anything right now, I got so much blue in my eye. But I like to use a fluffy brush because then I know that the powder's getting everywhere and it's really setting my eye primer. I'm always worried that I'm going to miss a patch, and then I go in with a bright color or a deep color. I wear deep colors sometimes. And if there's a patch that isn't set and isn't like the rest, the shadow can stick to that area. Meanwhile, you wanted a wash of color, if that makes any sense. So sprinkling it nicely all over with a fluffy brush, I know that it's getting everywhere, and they're usually shadows that are close enough to my skin tone that I can get away with using a very fluffy brush. Long explanation. Okay, but if you're curious, that's what's going on. My use of this palette changed a lot this past month. I did not use the deeper colors as liners. These are the deeper colors I'm talking about. So I've got these two, Sumatra, Blackberry, Sumatra are two that I use for liners, and then I've got this one over here that is Black Plum. Those three deeper colors I usually use with a liner brush which is exactly the liner brush that comes with the palette, so I use this. But this month I've been using a lot of pencil liners for the looks I was trying to do. Like today I'm wearing the Annabelle Blackest Black on, well, everywhere. Everywhere you don't see blue, I've got Annabelle Black. And so I haven't made progress on those shadows, nor have I used them on the outer lid because I was using a lot of colorful shadows. I was using the Elements palette by Urban Decay. I have started using the Violet Voss, and I'm also doing a quad series. If you're curious, this is a look from the second quad in the quad series for 2019. And when the video is available, I will link it right here. So if you come back to this video, you'll see the card at some point, but it will also be linked in the description box as well. Now, what else can I talk to you about this palette? I thought last time around, I said that I would use Tonal a lot. And I did not end up using it as much as I thought I would. I ended up defaulting into wheat, and I defaulted into wheat because that's what I was doing the month before. And sometimes you're putting your makeup on, it's almost like you're using muscle memory. You're not really thinking about what you're doing, and very often by the time I was done using wheat, I thought, I was supposed to use Tonal. I got better at it in the second half of the month, or last third of the month, so I'm going to say that this is still the one that I'm focusing on because I've learned to start focusing on it, so I'll just keep on with that progress. And I also used Grounded now and then when I wanted to use a cooler tone as opposed to Tonal. That's what I was using, or a cooler tone than wheat. So my plan for the coming period is definitely to use, I want to leave wheat alone. I'm going to use Tonal and keep working on vanilla, and I will use Grounded whenever I want a cooler look. I won't stress too much about these liner colors for the simple reason that I have a lot of colorful looks still left to do because I'm using the Violet Voss, and yeah, I don't want to force myself to use certain colors from this palette when I'm using a lot of similar colors in the other palette that I'm testing out. I should use the colors that I'm trying to learn and decide what I think about them, right? So that's what I am doing there. Anything else that I want to say? I have to say though, yeah, I have to say that when it comes to an outer, deepening out the outer lid, these three are beautiful and they work really, really well. So when I don't care about needing to use a deeper colored shadow from another palette, I'm really enjoying this Smashbox Matte Exposure palette. It's a solid palette if you tend to really like mattes as a base or mattes as an anchor for your look. And I'm using a matte as an anchor today. I'm using Indigo from the Morphe 39A. The color is Indigo, and that is my anchor for the whole, all over the lid as a gradient, and I think it does a fantastic job. I'm a big fan of mattes, big fan. For a gradient smoky, they do such a good job, and this palette is no different. I could easily use any one of these darker shadows to do a beautiful smoky eye. So I enjoy this palette. It's just recently it has not been a priority for me. It's been less of a priority than ever before, aside from setting my eye primer. And I have to say that sometimes I am setting my eye primer with two colors. So for example, vanilla and Grounded that I've talked a number of times before. So I set it with vanilla all over, and then I use Grounded more into the crease to just give myself a little bit of definition. And possibly on the lower lash line, just outer lower lash line, to just again offer myself a little bit of definition. And I may go about half my day doing that and then come back later on to do a look that I've wanted to do on camera or whatnot. And so in most videos where I'm doing a look, you will hear me say I have already set my primer with so-and-so from this palette. So this is a daily use palette. It's just not a daily use for a complete look palette, if that makes sense. Am I still in love with this palette? Yes. Do I still intend to make a ton of progress? Yes. I have made a ton of progress on vanilla. You can definitely see it visually. And at the end here, I will show you the scale weights and the progress pictures in a larger format so that you can really have a good look. And so that's it for my update. Again, love the palette, love the progress. I am not slowing down one bit as far as my daily use of it, and I do look forward to reporting back again at the end of April, because as we know, once you see pan on a shadow, you can't help but have visual progress to offer the next time. I'm just hoping the scale weight changes for you down by another gram. That's it for me. I thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it every single time. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. But for now, take care.